On Wednesday, January 10th, workers at Atta Coffee and Tea House informed owner Sukanta Nag that they had formed a union with UFCW Local 1776KS. It was during a staff meeting that organizer Chris Gratsch handed Sukanta Nag a letter demanding that the newly formed union be recognized. Nag had been planning to expand operations, but he changed his plans on the fly, announcing 24 hours later that he would be permanently closing all 4 Adda locations, claiming that Adda was losing too much money, and not mentioning anything about the union. I'm here with Chris Gratsch from the Adda Employees Union.
We're with UFCW Local 1776.
First off, I'm hearing in some cases people were not permitted to take their legally required breaks. Were there other clear labor violations?
First of all, it wasn't in some cases. That was a daily occurrence, which in the service industry is not unheard of. I remember an old restaurant job where I walked in and they said, legally we have to tell you that you can take a break, don't take a break. And that was kind of more or less the case at Atta. They'd say, well, sometimes it's slow in the cafe, so that can just be your break, which when you're working a 5-6 hour shift is one thing, but when you're working an 8.5 hour shift by yourself, then that's a little bit different, and that paid lunch is really important.
I noticed on Fridays, Atta closed at 9, and Saturdays opened at 8. Were there clopins?
Oh, regularly.
Regular clopins. So clopining was a normal thing. And tell us, how long were those shifts?
It really depended on the store. Most of the cafes, especially lately, closed around 3-4 o'clock. So you'd have ample time in between shifts. In Atta's early inception, we were open much later. I think they were open until 7-8 o'clock sometimes. It did happen occasionally when we had late night staff meetings, where you'd get scheduled. Actually, our final staff meeting on Wednesday.
The final meeting.
A lot of people were scheduled a full 6 to 8 hour shift. Immediately had to go to Sharpsburg to the art gallery to go to the meeting in person. Were there late and then had to turn around and to do it all again the next day because that was the last day of operations. Any event we had, he liked to kind of flaunt the gallery and make sure that we were using that space wherever possible.
The owner, Sukanta Nag, says that he and his wife have jobs. What are their jobs? Do you know what their jobs are?
I do, yes. Both of them have full-time employment. Sukanta works as the CIO for the 110 Coalition, and his wife Vanessa works at Google. I can't remember exactly what her title is, but between the two of them, about $700,000+ in annual income. So they're independently wealthy, which makes financial concerns a little bit more dubious. Okay. Several other ventures too. I know he owns a couple of other businesses. He has his hands in. Don't quote me on this, but I believe he has his hands in, what's the name? Denoina?
Yes. Dave Denoia from BRGR and Spoon.
Yes. He owns the gallery in Sharpsburg, ATT Studios. He also owns several properties. I know the building that People's Indian is in is his property. So lots of different sources of income kind of coming in at once.
So then that brings in the gentrification question as to what was the real mission of his businesses. The gentrification theory is pretty strong, I would say.
Most definitely. That's something that sometimes even in the cafes, we had a lot of people come in and initiate conversations about them. I just work here. I'm just trying to pay my rent.
I'm hearing reports that Nag is friends with Post-Gazette scab Hal Klein. Do you have any knowledge about that?
I don't have any knowledge about that, but that does not surprise me in the least.
Okay.
He keeps a circle of kind of 1% friends.
Hal Klein is a paid Twitter subscriber and hasn't posted for a year and a half. Just saying.
Enough said.
Did you expect such an extreme response from the ownership? What did you guys expect to happen?
Opinions on that were really mixed. Our representative from UFCW, she likes to say that you generally have two options, sugar or sticks. Sugar would be kind of what Commonplace did when I believe there was a campaign going on there some time ago, many years back, where they said, hey, hang on guys, we hear you're unhappy. Let's give some people some promotions, let's give you guys health care, and see, we fixed it, everything's better. And then there's the sticks, and if anybody was familiar with like the coffee tree campaign, where a lot of workers were, I believe there was somebody terminated the same day that the union announcement was made, and the owner spent, if I remember the number correctly, about $400,000 on anti-union lawyers, while also crying broke and saying that they couldn't afford to meet the union's demands. So those are kind of the two options. We, or at least I personally, expected sugar to the face and sticks behind the scenes, because that's, throughout my couple of years at Atta, that's kind of been the MO, is everything to the face is sunshine and rainbows, and then behind your back it's, well, we just need to remove names from people. This is a direct quote, by the way. We need to remove names from people. I can't be bothered to care if people can pay their rent. This is a business.
You suck!
And then turns around in the same breath and says, we're a family here, and I believe in people over profits, and I don't care if it's good for Atta, it's good for them. To answer the question more directly, nobody expected this extreme of a reaction. To me, this is the most vile and cowardly response to a union forming that an owner can possibly do. And honestly, like, we thought the man was a little slimy, but never did we think he was this evil.
A brand new pizza oven in the fall. People asking if they were hiring up until a couple days ago, getting a yes answer. Are there other reasons why you would doubt that the business was that much into the red that he would have to close it, that maybe hasn't been stated yet, or maybe has been, but it's just important?
I love that question, and nobody's really asked that yet, actually. In the statement that he put out, as him being Sukanta, he mentioned that the final staff meeting that we had on Wednesday evening was a last-ditch effort to save the business. That's an absolute falsehood. The meeting was to discuss the expansion of the food program into the Shadyside location. There was somebody there who had literally just been hired and dropped off his hiring paperwork at the meeting to run the food program in Shadyside. They were planning on buying another oven to like move a full brunch program into the store. They had just announced the hiring of a second general manager. We kind of set up small committees to revise the training manual. This meeting was intensive and had plans for the business in the near and distant future. So nobody is under the impression that even if the business wasn't doing well, that a closure was planned until the union announcement was made.
So it was actually expansion was the plan.
Expansion has always been the plan there.
Yeah.
And if the business has been operating in the red for so long, since its inception, as they claim, why have they opened 5 stores within the span of those couple of years? A lot of people, I think, with everything that's been going on here, are under the assumption like, oh, you know, you got union busted, the stores closed, everything shut down, and that could not be further from the truth. We're still fighting, we're still more united than ever, because we're all furious. We've been meeting every single day. We're doing everything we can to support each other and to keep this campaign going. And I hope that any other businesses, service industry or beyond, that are thinking about organizing, I really hope they don't take this as a reason not to. Because all of us, like mutual agreement, even knowing the outcome, we would not change a thing. We would all go back and do it again. And I really hope that more people kind of like catch on to that and say like, no, we've had enough, like we're fed up in our workplace too, and we're tired of like inhumane treatment. So hopefully nobody takes this as like a cautionary tale to not organize. I hope it's quite the opposite. I hope people are inspired and do organize their workplaces.
Effectively, legally, it's a lockout, is what it would be.
It is. That's difficult to prove, and that's kind of an uphill battle for us.
Yeah.
Because we have to essentially prove like this was in direct response to the union, which falls into that like kind of gray legal area where it's like common sense across the board tells you that that's the case. There's no possible other explanation for that timing, but to prove it legally is a little bit trickier. We certainly can't make him open the stores again and hire all of us back, although I think there are probably quite a few people that would gladly go back because we really do love that job and we would love to go back to our communities, but that's very unlikely to happen. The most likely scenario, probably, they'll keep paying rent on the spaces. they'll sell the business to a friend and then come on as like a major shareholder. That's a pretty common lockout tactic, and then rebrand as a new concept. So if anybody's listening, keep an eye on those spaces. Keep an eye on Suganta Dog. Keep an eye on Vanessa Sanchez. Keep an eye on like any friends of theirs. If you see those names pop up anywhere, like related to those businesses, it's very likely that that's the case here.
Yeah, we can't let them get away with it.
Please don't.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining.